I know I'm late to the party, but there is a couple of new cards revealed from the Stellar Miracles set with a couple of really cool A-specs that I've already seen. This isn't an honest first impressions, but you guys are going to get to see some really cool cards coming up with some card reveals. It's my honest duty to talk about what I think about these cards, and you guys like hearing my reactions, so what's up, everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look at some of these new Stellar Miracle cards. My name is Rahul Reddy. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And who knows, we might have some Reggies back on the menu. That's what you guys know me for. So there is a Stellar Sylveon and Celluledge deck coming out sometime before the set releases. And I don't know if this is part of Japan's actual Stellar Miracle 6. I think that set's already out. But these cards will probably most likely be a part of our Stellar Miracle set once things start coming out and falling into place. So we're going to take a look at some of these cards that have been revealed because, you know, we haven't really had a ton of new cards being shown recently. So we have this Ho-Oh coming up that has for Fire Colorless, Shining Blaze 100, and if you have any Bench Terra, this is 100 more damage. So 200 for 3 fires is not bad, but there's probably better out there, as I think my honest opinion. The Azumarils we're going to take a look at here. Twinkling Soap, Double Edge used by this Pokemon costs Psychic if you have any Terra Pokemon in play. And Double Edge does 230 and 52 itself. That actually seems pretty good. 230 for 1 on a Psychic Energy seems really insane. I don't know what Terra Psychic Pokemon you'd play that kind of acts as a support Pokemon, because I don't think you can really play 2 prize attackers with something like this. I think you have to kind of have a support Pokemon that bolsters. So maybe like, I don't know. I don't even know what good Terra like Psychic Pokemon there are that kind of like bolster this, but the attacking for 1 for 230 seems really insane actually. Like, this is a lot of damage and puts a lot of pressure on a lot of decks. This is the A-spec that I think the most people tagged me in on Twitter, social media, whenever it got released. A lot of people DM'd me about this. Precious Carrier. Now, this item says search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them on your bench and shuffle your deck. Now, you guys know that I played REGIS, where you had to get 6 Reggies into play to activate the Ancient Wisdom ability and power up 1 attacker off the bat. Precious Carrier can get you all of your Reggies and potentially your attackers immediately as well. The problem is finding that item card, so you're playing either an Arven or an Irida build in most situations and most decks, so you can actually dig through your deck and find this card, because, I don't know, a lot of decks that aren't playing Arven or Irida, by the time you find this, it's probably just worse than playing something like a Prime Catcher or Hero's Cape or Reset Stamp or something, you know? Like, you have to kind of find it early in the game to actually set up and play. Like, maybe the Terrapagos Palkia deck can really use this. I feel like that's one of those decks that, with the Area Zero card, like, really probably pops off and shines. But Regigigas is something that I'm definitely going to be trying out with this card. So when this is released, you guys can drop all your cool Regi list ideas, and I'll check them out and hopefully take something to a League Challenge or League Cup. And if it's good enough, maybe a Regionals. Who knows, you know? The second A-spec here is Perfect Mixer, which is search your deck for 5 items or 5 cards and discard them, and it is an item card. Basically, everyone was saying the Battle Compressor should come back as an A-spec because of how good it was for its lifetime, and they basically made a Battle Compressor on crack. Like, 5 cards over 3 is a pretty considerable difference. And the obvious deck that this becomes immediately good with is Lugia. Like, Lugia already has some pretty big inconsistency issues, but if you play like Arvens and Iridas now, you have a lot more ways to maybe get to, like, you get like a pseudo Burnett effect basically by going Perfect Mixer into just set up your board. But obviously, like, the 1 out of like 10% of games that this card is actually prized, your deck is just so much worse, I guess, is like the trade-off. But maybe it's worth it because, like, Lugia played 1 Burnett for like a long time, and that 1 Burnett basically like carried the deck. So, like, maybe it's the same effect where, like, your 10% of games you can just go Luminian for, like, when it's not prized, you go Luminian for Irida or Arven and just do this. And, like, if you play Irida, you can play, like, Wellspring Ogre Spawn. If you play Arven, you can play, like, I don't even know what tools you'd play. I guess is the biggest thing in Lugia. Like, I don't know what, like, damage modifying tools you'd play, but you could and play, like, a slower Lugia build where you're not researching every turn and you rely on Gift to build your hand back up. But maybe that's a little bit slow, but I think it's the obvious partner. United Wings is a great partner for this card. I think Regis is going to be a great partner for this card. Yeah. You guys feeling what I'm putting down? So some very cool, interesting 2 new A-specs. I think these will make a big impact. We have Terra Orb coming out, which says search deck for a Terra Pokemon, put it into your hand. There's been iterations like these ball cards throughout Pokemon's history: Plasma Ball, Cherish Ball, Dive Ball, etc., etc. And I think almost every iteration has been pretty broken when it has been released. So I think Terra Orb is going to be really good because now, like, for example, Charizard can go Arven for Terra Orb, instead of or Candy, depending on what they need, and you get Terra Orb for Charizard. Decks can just Terra Orb now for like the Terrapagos on turn one. Basically acts as like an all in one Nest Ball, not an Ultra Ball card. So you have more slots to dedicate with because now you have Ultra Ball plus Terra Orb, so you have 8 search cards potentially, or you have Terra Orb plus Nest Ball. And a lot of the time, some decks don't really want to use Ultra Balls a lot of the time because you don't really want to discard a ton of cards in it. But if it's the only option, you kind of have to play it. But now you have like the Area Zero decks can kind of abuse this, or like your Galvantula deck can abuse this, or Charizard specifically, I think, is a big one that can potentially abuse this Terra Orb. The Terra Orb plus Feather Ball now gets you pretty much your entire engine, and you might not even need to play Ultra Balls anymore because you don't really want to discard a lot of cards in Charizard. So now you don't have to even discard cards, and you can do this while playing like a heavier Nest Ball count potentially to get more basics into play and like Rotom earlier, stuff like that, and like maybe like play like one Ultra Ball to get Luminion. But besides that, like Terra Orb seems like a pretty universally good card. And then we have a couple more cards here. We have a Cerulege, that's not English, a Cerulege EX here that says Abyssal Flame. It's a 270 HP Terra Fire. Abyssal Flame, 30 plus 20 for each energy card in your discard pile. So a deck that basically revolves around putting fires in the discard and kind of ramping up. But I don't know if that ramp will ever be worth it to that degree. Fire, Psychic, Metal, Amethyst Rage, 280 discard all energy. So maybe like just playing a bunch of different energies and just kind of ramping up to that in general. I don't know. 280 is a pretty good number, so I actually don't think this card's terrible. But the energy cost is a very weird 3, so I think it's hard to set that up. Pokemon thinks they're slick with this Eevee. Boosted evolution. If this Pokemon's in the active, it can evolve during your first turn of the turn it was put into play. So basically, to get this Eevee into play, get it to the active, evolve it into which evolution you'd like. And so basically, you can build this evolution toolbox deck once again. That Pokemon has always like put a lot of emphasis into Eevee being able to go into different evolutions, especially with like if you played back in the day, you know, like there was the evolutionary signs, I believe it was called. But like there's so many different ways that Eevee just takes advantage of its evolutions. And so as we have more and more evolutions evolved, there's like an evolution set like about to come out or whatever in Japan. So we'll see like what broken Terra Eevee Pokemon are going to be released that make this card super insane, where you can go turn one Eevee into something that is just game breaking potentially. And then last but not least, we have the Sylveon EX, also not in English, Psychic type Terra. Psychic, colorless, 160, and during your opponent's next turn, you take 100 less damage. Or they do 100 less damage, which is actually pretty relevant because they can still hit into you if they pivot. So it's like a little bit worse, I think, than you being able to take 100 less, because then they have to gust around you. So your Sylveon actually is not that much more protected. And then we have Lightning, Water, Psychic, Angelite. Choose 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. They shuffle those in and all cards attached. If you used Angelite last turn, you can't use it this turn. And it's a blanket effect, not just like if your Sylveon used it. It's just like if someone used it, which I think is pretty cool because it stops you from setting up, like just cucking your opponent completely on like setup. Very interesting. It's the first of the Terra evolutions revealed. So maybe like all of them have some sort of like effect of that nature. But this is very control oriented, where like you can go into Sylveon, you can go Angelite, you can just tuck away 2 of your opponent's things that they're setting up, and then you can go back into a control strategy, go back to just basically being chill about it, you know? So pretty excited to see some of these new cards. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys next time.